which I believe is like the designer gene. You know, it's like,
Yep.
okay, if you're not wearing the Billboard jeans, you're not, it hasn't happened for you yet. So, I mean, I have charted on Billboard, up in the 50s, but that chart in smooth jazz doesn't start till, the 30. I think 30, they start, publishing it where people can see it. So, that's a goal. Another goal is to have a song to hit the watercolors on Sirius XM.
Yes.
But then, there's this thing of like, well, it's when I start to think, well, maybe I need to pivot a bit, and really embrace what my voice is, and maybe it's not smooth jazz. Maybe it is something else. Maybe I need to, tap into my, real jazz, kind of my straight ahead jazz. I just had a Christmas concert, and I did Jingle Bells and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
Is there anything better than a trip getting ready? Nope. For a long journey where our podcast released a new app and searching for a fade fiend. New fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day runs. They gave us fuel to support the season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, text some friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talk your wisdom.
Welcome in, everyone. Season 2, episode 60, Music to Move, with our guest, Castella. Now, I'm very curious because you're an international recording star. So am I sure that I got that right? Is it Castella? Are we doing the double L's with the ya? Or I got it right?
Castella.
Castella. All right.
Yeah.
I got to check.
Yeah.
What would you say if I just dropped down from the moon, but we don't know if there's any life up there or ever has been. Let's just say I'm from another planet and I just got here and I see somebody walk around with a Castella t-shirt. How would you describe Castella to me if I just got here and I was like, Castella, tell me more?
Wow. Castella is on the t-shirts that I do have. It says she's love, light, and music. And so that would be how I describe myself. I write love songs, and I aim to be a light in the world and in my life. And I'm all music. So that would be how I describe myself.
Now, I'm not above self-promotion. So please tell me, where can I get one of these shirts? I'm going to get a shirt. And I promise you, I'm gonna wear it, and then I'm gonna inbox you on IG so you can see me. But where can we get a Castella t-shirt at?
You can get it from my website at castellamusic.com.
Boom.
Yeah. I gotta order some more, but
no problem. We're waiting.
Yeah, it's a wonderful t-shirt. So I recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Do we have? I hope this one goes viral, by the way. I hope we blow you up so you're all frustrated. But are we allowed to keep reminding you, hey, we still back order. I'm waiting on my t-shirt.
Yes. You know what? I need to get a button on my website that, that people can order. And if I get enough orders, I'm like, okay, cool. I'll order some more. I don't want to have a whole stack full of t-shirts and nobody's buying them. It's kind of as an independent artist, I have to watch the budget, and if people are buying the merch, I'm not gonna waste my money on it.
Well, I'm gonna get one, and I do a radio show on Wednesdays with Jabari Warfield.
I know Jabari.
I'm gonna get this shirt, and then I'm gonna wear it.
Oh, well, he knows who I am.
But does he have the t-shirt?
He doesn't have the t-shirt. Oh, you'll get him.
I'm gonna do it in his face. I'm gonna just be like, oh. He's gonna be like, what the?
Oh, that would be awesome. He's so wonderful.
He's
I met
great.
him a couple of years ago in Austin, I believe it was. Yeah, Austin, at a show I did with Kyle and friends.
Was that the Women in Jazz that they do here? Wow. Well, I'm gonna have myself, because we're gonna come back to a little bit of all that.
Yes.
I'm a little curious here. What inspired you to pursue a career in music, specifically these genres? If I remember correctly, it's smooth jazz, R&B, some gospel.
Mm-hmm.
What was your inspiration?
Well, gospel is what I do every Sunday. I'm not really, I haven't recorded a gospel tune yet, so I don't want to put that out there that I'm a gospel artist, because I'm not.
Okay.
But I do, when I started writing songs, I really didn't have a like, okay, I'm aiming for R&B or I'm aiming for smooth jazz or soul. I just wrote songs, and what melodies came to me, and my producer, he, what he was feeling is what we did. And I met an artist once I decided to start, really pursuing this career. I met an artist, and he told me to call a radio promoter and just share your music with him. And I said, okay. And he just so happened to be a smooth jazz promoter. And so when he listened to my music, I didn't know what it was. I didn't want to put myself in a category, but
Yes.
He liked one of my songs and said he wanted to promote my song, No Ordinary Love, which is an original tune that I wrote. And it did really well in smooth jazz. And so that's how I became a smooth jazz artist, because they accepted me, as a vocalist. And it's really a tough genre as a vocalist, because it's mostly instrumental. And I've heard people say that, the vocals are a distraction. So I know how I sing. I'm a big distraction. So it's like, wake up, she's singing, But
there she
no,
goes.
but but it chose me. And then once I released my second single called Let Me Love You, somehow I bled over into the R&B soul market somehow. I don't know how they got the song, but they did. And so now I've been kind of just, I'm able to kind of, I guess, teeter on all of it.
Yes.
I'm received by all of those genres, and I just love it. So R&B soul, I was actually nominated for Vocalist of the Year 2 times with Soul Tracks.
And congratulations.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. And I just joined the Recording Academy, and going through the whole process of your song being considered for a Grammy, and then now being a voting member, just seeing how many songs are considered. Being nominated for something now means so much more to me now. It's like, oh, a nomination, oh, whatever, but no, I mean, there's so many other people that could have gotten a nomination. So just even getting the nomination is pretty remarkable. But you asked me how I came to that genre. Smooth jazz received me. They accepted me first. And so that's why I always say I'm a smooth jazz artist first, and then R&B and soul. So, it's just who accepted me. I mean, I didn't go into it with any intention of, I want to be this R&B, star or anything like that. And I'm kind of resisting R&B really and truly because, I'm not, I'm just, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if I fit completely. I'm a little, I don't know, but we'll see. If they receive me, then so.
Well, that kind of brings me to a question of, would you, so maybe not then, I'll say without this being offensive, let's say you didn't have the ear for it before, because you were saying, I didn't know if I was actually smooth jazz, or that second song being R&B. Mm-hmm. Would you say now you've got that ear and you definitely know the difference? Or is that hard to even know the difference of, I think I just wrote something smooth jazz, no, I think this is more R&B. How do you figure that out? It seems hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything I do could be either or. I did this song called So Into You, which was a remake of a song by the Atlanta Rhythm Section. And people tell me it sounds country. I'm like, what? Or blues. I'm like, huh?
Right.
Okay. I mean, and so depending on which band I perform it with live, it could go either way, because they put their own little spin on it. But it really is up to the listener sometimes to determine, like, oh yeah, this is an R&B record, or this is smooth jazz, or soul. And I think I'm always soulful. And even one of my songs I wrote, my nephew was like, oh, what are you talking about? This is inspirational kind of thing. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, that's what you heard. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just really, it's a weird thing. I just feel like I'm all of it. I'm all of it. And I don't really, like a melody will come to me and I'm not, it's just what comes, and it's, with no intention. It's and then really my current producer is a smooth jazz producer. And I sought him out specifically because the song that I wrote, Let Me Love You, I was trying to write something to appease to them.
Yes.
And then I did another song that we were really trying to appease to the smooth jazz. He even said, don't sing so hard. Don't do this. Don't do that. I'm like, okay. But the song got me an Indie Soul Award for Song of the Year. Wow. So I'm like, well, and smooth jazz, they liked it, but I got an award in the, it was actually Jazz Song of the Year, but yeah, it was an award on the R&B side for a jazz song, if that makes sense. It's kind of
cool. That is so cool.
I'm all over the place.
So, because of that,
mm-hmm.
Are you hesitant to describe your unique sound? Because it sounds like you're blending elements of smooth jazz, R&B, and gospel. But you said it yourself, and none of us wants to be pigeonholed or painted into a corner or stuck in a lane.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like, I don't know. I'm just curious how. I know you said love light.
Uh-huh.
Is that almost kind of what you have to say just to leave it open? Because you have to be intentional, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. I never really thought about it that way. I just think I write about love. I mean, that's where that came from. And then light just, I've had people to give me names, like someone called me the darling of smooth jazz, I call myself the darling of smooth jazz, which is really sweet. And and then another person coined me the elegant woman or lady of soul. So that was nice too. So I don't know. I just leave it open. I'm like, whatever it can be, as long as it's nice,
Yeah.
I'm that, so yeah, I don't, it never really, it is, I am open. I'm open to the music. I let the music speak. I mean, there's some songs that I have that could be, I don't know, could be pop, could be more poppy, depending on, who's listening. I have a song that's really vibey that, everyone enjoys. And I'm not sure what the artist or the producer who wrote the track, what he was thinking, but someone said it sounded like, oh my gosh, now I can't think of the producer's name. But it was hip hoppy.
Yeah.
And so, it just, I don't know. Again, I don't want to put myself in a box.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think you should. Excuse me. What is your creative process like when writing and recording new music? Are you I got to go into a dark room type, or I'm sitting at a coffee shop, I'm going to sit out on my porch? What's your process?
Wow. It's, I don't really have a, process per se, because music, I would say a number of the songs and melodies that I've written come to me when I'm in the shower. So I'm not really in this, like, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to write a song. I've never, it's not like that for me. It really, sometimes I'll like the song. That was a melody that came to me and I'm like, okay. And sometimes if a melody sticks with me, now that became a song called Let Me Love You. If a melody sticks with me, I'm like, okay, I think that's, that could be a song, and, but the process really, sometimes it'll be a whole song will come to me. Like this phone has so many songs on it that, I'm just, like, which producer do I think I want to work with to try to, to bring this out? Cause I don't play an instrument, just my voice. But, I would say that and just, refining, what I've recorded on my phone is really the process. And then after I, put the song together, I will send it to my producer. And it's, I have a couple of them, and then they will, bring my song to life, with their, contribution to it. And if I like it, I'm like, okay, you captured what I was thinking, and that'll be the process. And then I have a producer here named Darryl Swann, who once we get the track I'll sing the song down and I'll send him my dummy track of what I'm thinking, and then he kind of, I think, listens to that and then comes up with his ideas. And then when I'm in the studio, we kind of, he'll tell me, don't do that, or or try this, and he always tells me to indulge me, and I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And so it's just a really fun, creative process. I love going to the studio. I haven't quite mastered the recording in my house thing yet. I really enjoy leaving, home and going into a space where I feel, creative, and it's like, okay, I love it here. And it's a separation, so I guess that's my process. And just sometimes I wrote a song called Mojito, and that started off as just something I wrote. I was in the Cheesecake Factory, and it was my mother's birthday, and I, was a little, frugal. So I ordered a drink off of the happy hour menu, and it was a mojito. And I had a conversation with Darryl that day, and it was like, he said, you are a wordsmith, because I was kind of at the beginning of my career when I was just writing, he was, taking my lyrics and telling me, yeah, this is good. This is good. You're a really good songwriter. He called me a songsmith. And I'm like, well, what's that? I looked it up, and it's someone who writes songs well. And I'm like, oh, that's really a cool compliment.
Yeah.
And then I was in the Cheesecake Factory, and I kind of penned that song, or the words, and it wasn't a song at first. And so it eventually became a song, but it was just something I wrote. And it was really cool. And so not everything is a song right away, but sometimes if a melody comes, because when I wrote that, my producer, I had another song I was working on. Yeah. And my producer, Corey, at the time he was bouncing what we had worked on to me, and he put on the beat for what became Mojito. And I was like, ooh, what's that? Mm-hmm. And listening to it, I'm like, man, I just love that beat. And then he kind of gave that to me. And I was looking through my phone. I said, I got to have some words. And I stumbled across Mojito, and I was like, well, okay, listen to the beat. It was like, sitting in this place with a smile on my face. It just all kind of just mushed together. It was cool. It was super cool. I mean, it's just magic, how things happen. Same thing with my song, So Glad I Met You. I wrote that whole song, had whole song written out, no music. And I sent it to Jeff. And he listened to it, and immediately he called me and he said, I have a track that goes perfectly with your melody. And I'm like, what? And then he sent it to me, and then he sang my melody, my song on top of what he had created. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty amazing that I wrote a song that fits perfectly with something you wrote. And we didn't even know each other at the time. This was a song that was in his vault. And it's actually my #1 song on Spotify right now. So Glad I Met You. Wow. And so there's just a whole lot of, interesting things. Same thing with another song I wrote along with David P. Stevens. He wrote a track for me, and he sent the track to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it. And I write a lot about love. And then, I had some, stuff happen in my life that, as far as like losing a job and some different things. And I always kind of like, okay, music was what saved me, I think, mentally, honestly. And so I'm like, okay, I'll write about it. But then I said, people don't want to hear about that. So I kind of turned the song into a love song, but I was able to, come up with a hook. It's crazy. It's a fun thing when you get a track. So I write myself, and then sometimes I'll get a track from a producer, and I'm able to, write to that track and create a melody and lyrics around it. So that's kind of the creative process. It's sometimes it's just like, bam, here's a song. And other times it's like, hey, write to this. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. So it's a fun process.
You started by saying the magic when you were talking about the creative process. Now I want to know, what's the tragic? Like, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your career as an international artist? Is it trying to make music sometimes when I gotta have something by this spring performance? Or right, I don't know, what would be some of your biggest challenges?
Really, biggest challenges would be, it does cost a lot. It's not a thing. I'm self-funded, as far as being the artist. I fund everything myself. So I have had a couple campaigns where people do contribute. So thank you, everybody that has contributed to, me in this journey. But, the lion's share of it is on me. That's probably one of the biggest challenges. I think my last record, which was a cover of Nights Over Egypt, that one took me a little while to get that record done, which was kind of a trip, because we started at the beginning of the end of 2023. We kind of started the whole concept of it, and then into January, because usually I would release a song in January and June. And so I already felt like, oh man, not like a failure, but man, I didn't release the song in January. So I felt like, dang. And then January came, and then June came, and record still wasn't done in July. And I'm like, oh my God, when is this record going to get finished? And then we went into August, and we were still working on it, and we finally finished it like at the end of August and was able to release it. But I think sometimes it's the challenge of me just wanting to do so much and having to maybe not having the resources to do it. Kind of gets a little frustrating. I think that's the part that's most difficult, is just wanting to be on all cylinders, but I can't always afford it, and which is a challenge. And then sometimes too, now it's because I now have met so many people. It's like, well, who do I want to? I mean, I love my current producer. And so do I want to work with anyone else? And just trying to decide like who else can I, collaborate with, and trust.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That kind of takes me to, what are your goals for the future of your music, the future of your music career? You've won awards, being a part of the Academy. Yeah, there are. You're not going to be cheating on your current producers, but there's if Pharrell Williams just pops up and was like, "Oh, I would love to." I mean, you can't turn that down. But what are some of your goals? Well,
that's a good question. I've been thinking about that, because people have asked me, what's my end game? I'm like, well, I don't really have an end game. I mean, I think once you get into this creative space, it's like a lifelong thing. You just continue to create until you can't create no more.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm able to sing, I want to. But the goals are just to keep going. That's the main goal. I mean, because it is, you struggle with it all the time. Like, well, because me, I spent the majority of my life as a professional, working in an office and working in human resources, and to dive into the creative space where it's about as unstable as you can imagine.
Polar opposites.
Sometimes I question my sanity. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so I struggle with that sometimes. And so, but music brings me so much joy, and people keep coming to hear me, and so it's like, okay, well, let's keep doing it. So, but the goal is just to keep going and to keep creating, continuing to expand, continuing to meet people and to collaborate and hopefully to get that, I have these records that seem to do good, but people are always telling me you need a hit. I'm like, I thought my last song was a hit, but okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, a hit where, so it just depends on, who and where. There's all these different areas, and I'm again learning, there's it's almost like, there's, Billboard, which I believe is like the designer gene. It's like, okay, if you're not wearing the Billboard jeans, it hasn't happened for you yet. So, I mean, I have charted on Billboard, up in the 50s, But that chart in smooth jazz doesn't start till, the 30. I think 30 they start, publishing it where people can see it. So, that's a goal. Another goal is to have a song to hit the watercolors on Sirius XM.
Yes.
But then, there's this thing of like, well, it's when I start to think, well, maybe I need to pivot a bit, and really embrace what my voice is, and maybe it's not smooth jazz. Maybe it is something else. Maybe I need to, tap into my, real jazz, kind of
Yes.
my straight ahead jazz. I just had a Christmas concert, and I did Jingle Bells and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
in the Ella Fitzgerald's versions of them.
Ooh.
And they were so fun. It's kind of a swing, swinging. And I had so much fun with those songs. And I'm like, maybe I need to, pivot a bit and, do something else and just really embrace the R&B-ness of my, my voice and maybe the straight ahead jazz of my voice. Because, smooth jazz it's tough. It's really tough, because, my radio promoter, I'm like, well, why didn't it do better? And then he can always just tell me, well, it's vocals are tough, after, radio promotion isn't cheap. And it's like,
yeah.
Like, well, maybe should I have even done it? Thousands of dollars later, I'm like, so I'm at this point now where I'm like really thinking, and wanting to make some real strategic moves with what I do next, and yeah.
When you think of those strategic moves, I know you're thinking this, so I want to know how you do it. How do you connect with your international audience and build a global fan base? I mean, as an international recording artist, as a person that can go between a couple different genres almost seamlessly, how do you connect? Like, do you feel like I have to do this for smooth jazz? I have to do this for R&B. I have to do this because I know they really like this over in Iceland. How do you deal with all of those and connect them?
Wow. I love my international audience. I have, folks in Canada and Spain and Italy and the UK. I do have a radio promoter in the UK. So, and developed a amazing relationship with a host in Canada. And it's just really honestly establishing relationships. And, but I do know that, some of the music, like I have a song called Intoxicated Love, which I thought would have done like really, really good in a UK because it has like a funky beat and kind of a thing. But oddly enough, the smooth jazzers liked it. I'm like scratching my head. It was so weird. And my promoter was like, yeah, I can't get that out of my head. The loop was, it's anyway, you gotta listen to a song. But anyway, it's you just never know. It's like you think a song is gonna do this or that, and it's unpredictable. And that song Intoxicated Love was Song of the Year in Italy on the Black Corner Radio, and Song of the Year on this station called Smooth Jazz Weekly, and out of Pennsylvania. And I'm like, okay, just never know, what song is going to take off, and where a song is going to do well. And so I just always hit them up. I hit all of them up. So when I do a song, it's like I send it to smooth jazz, I send it to my UK audience, I send it to Canada, I send it to Italy, I send it to Spain, and if they like it, they like it. I had one friend of mine, DJ that played my music for the very first time. He on my last single, he's like, I don't like it. I mean, he was like, I'm not gonna play it. I'm like, oh. I was like, oh.
Yeah. thought we were gonna go back to back here.
It was kind of like, oh, so I know there's, sometimes I can tell when, a DJ may not, really feel what I'm doing. And some people are adverse to people doing covers. And I'm like, sorry guys, the next few songs I'm doing are going to be covers because I have an EP that's going to be called A Couple of Covers. So that's what you're going to get. But I'm not going to stay in that lane because I never want to be viewed as a cover band, because that's not what I am. I'm a songwriter and I do have songs. But some people just don't like the covers, and other people are like, okay, you did a good job on that one. So but I hit everything up. I hit all of the markets with the music, and I've had songs to go number one in Italy and Spain and Canada, UK too. The number one eludes me in the UK, except for I did hit number one with there's a UK breakers chart. I did hit number one on that one, but the UK soul chart, it's like two is just two. I'm just second. Yeah.
What, so at your Christmas concert, you did a little Ella.
Yeah.
That felt good. That was fun. What are your biggest musical influences, both within and outside of these genres?
Man, that is such a weighted question. And every time it gets asked to me, I'm like, I should have said that person. And I really have it written down because there's so many people that influence me. It's all over the place, literally, from, bands to, trios to gospel music, everything. I mean, there's Sarah Vaughan, there's, Diane Reeves, there's Regina Bell and Mickey Howard and Minnie Riperton, and then Luther Vandross and Michael Jackson, and Earth, Wind and Fire, and Stevie Wonder, and Mattie Moss Clark, the Clark sisters. You have Whitney Houston. You have there's just so many. It's all over the place. Then I have Steely Dan. I have Christopher Cross. I have Kenny Loggins. I mean, I just love him.
Yeah.
And my favorite song of all time is "Selling" by Christopher Cross. I mean, that's my jam. Toto. I mean, Michael Jackson. I think I might have said Michael Jackson already, but Toto. I mean, that group. I mean, just there's so much.
While you're there while you're there with those names, then do you have any musical mentors or collaborators who have significantly impacted your career? You met someone, or someone reached out to you, or any of those?
I would say the person who has impacted my career most would be Darryl Swann. He's a producer. He's the one that kind of got me into this. And I would be remiss to not mention my friend Gabriel Crenshaw, who is how I met Darryl. It's like there's always this catalyst, and Gabriel is an amazing musician who played in my church. He was an organist in my church. Funniest story, I'm an alto, and so I had he was new, and I had just kind of left to go have a baby, and so I came back into the church, and I heard someone playing the organ, and I'm like, and singing. I'm like, well, who's that over there? And I'm like, well, I guess I need to go to choir rehearsal. and so that's when I got back in and started listening to him, and then he heard my voice. He was telling me this one time, like, I hear this voice I haven't heard. And so he went across the, panned the whole alto section, and he found the voice, and it was me. And he tells that story, and it's so funny. But we kind of, after he left the church, we stayed in touch, and he would ask me to come sing, with him. And eventually we became this group called Gabriel and Some Other Angels. And we recorded a song. And that first song, that was When I Met Darryl. And he just said, asked me if I had ever, written, if I had ever decided or thought about doing an EP. And I was like, oh, it was just like, what, recording me? No, I hadn't thought about that at all. And so it was, just that conversation. And then he said, okay, well, let's talk offline, after this and everything. And the song we recorded is just so it was just this moment. I think, when I think about it, it was just so magical, in the studio. We were, it was a song called Part of Yours that Gabriel finally released. But for me, it was, I fell in love with music again. I never, it was an amazing experience. But after that, he said, let's just talk offline. And he just said, then he asked me this question: have you ever, do you write lyrics and melodies? And I'm like, it's one of those things where if you answer the question wrong, it's like, okay, your ship is sunk, and like, she didn't do anything. So I just said, I'm not sure if I do or not. And then I just started listening, to, the stuff that was in my head. And I'm like, yeah, I do write lyrics and melodies. And so that was that. And then also I had gotten that bug, and this was in August of 2018. I got the bug, and there was another song, and Gabriel was going back to the studio again. And I said, I want to come. Can I go? Yeah. And I just want to be there. I don't have to sing or nothing. I just enjoy the environment, and ended up going and singing on the song. It was a song called Find My Father. And it, both of those songs were released, and I think they hit #1 in Canada, both of them. Oh. And so, yeah, it was just that experience. And I would say those two guys definitely, Gabriel giving me that, introducing me to Darryl, and then Darryl just believing in me like no other, just telling me that, you're just pumping me up. You're an amazing singer, stop being shy, kick those doors down. You're an amazing songwriter. Just all these things that are just, lifting me up. Like, man, I do these things. Okay. All right. And, and just, he's been that person. So I would say Darryl Swann. Yeah. I call myself his prodigy. Although, I'm a little older, but, I'm not, the child prodigy. I guess I'm probably his oldest prodigy that he's ever had. So, yeah.
So you've had your time in the music industry. So you've had your eyes open. You came in, you thought one thing, you've endured, and now you have, like I said, we're aspiring to goals, all of us. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the current state of the music industry, particularly for artists in these genres?
What's the state of it?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the current state? Some of the music that you're hearing that's getting put out.
I think it's a great time. I mean, because people are able to, there's no stronghold, I guess, from, a record label. I mean, it's great to be on a label, but I mean, people like myself are able to create and release music on my own, on my own terms, and back in the day, that just wasn't happening, like it is now, I guess, to some extent, and I think it's just more open now. I mean, for people to be able to do it, but it still remains that, having the muscle behind you and the money and the financing still matters. I have another friend, a producer that I've written a song with that he hasn't quite released yet, but he will. He was telling me, you're really good. He said, but some of the artists, they put so much money behind, an artist, and that matters. So I think that's where the line is kind of drawn between the independent artist and myself.
Great. That's literally my next question. You're throwing alley-oops here. So I got to dunk them. How do you navigate the challenges of streaming platforms and digital music distribution, especially being independent? You mentioned SiriusXM watercolors. I mean, I listen to Pitbull Radio. I listen to ESPN. That's the only two stations I really listen to, because I like the variety on Pitbull. He has a little bit of everything. I get Latin jazz, I get salsa, I get merengue, I get hip hop, I get it all. But as an artist, how are you navigating the challenges of streaming platforms and digital music distribution?
I distribute my music through TuneCore, and it's interesting. Initially, I really wasn't paying Spotify that much attention because, it's like, really didn't know what that was so much.
Yeah.
And you can honestly see now that I do pay it some attention that, some of my songs, like my first song, my first couple of songs don't really have as many spins on Spotify as to when I started paying attention to it. And but those two songs did really well in a different area. But I've learned that you can't ignore any piece of it. You have to, everything has to have attention. You can't ignore the radio. You can't ignore the streaming. You can't ignore things like this, having conversations with you.
Yes.
I mean, you have to do it all. I mean, it all matters. So it's the streaming is interesting. There's Apple, there's Spotify, there's YouTube, and I'm trying desperately to get to those 1,000 so I can start monetizing, which is and I have, and the funny thing is I have like over 5,000 people on Facebook, but it's like I can't get like 1,000 of you just to go and subscribe. It's
you guys follow me.
It's like, where's the disconnect? It's the funniest thing to me, but that's why I say you have to give each one its own attention. There's Instagram and it's crazy. It's everything is its own animal.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, so I started that last question with talking about you being new, then you enduring, and then where your goals are headed. But what would you say? What would your advice be to give aspiring musicians who are interested in pursuing a career in smooth jazz, R&B, or gospel? There's some singers out there, and they know that's where they might want to go. What advice would you give?
Advice would be to don't give up and I guess write some good music. I mean, I don't know. It's I guess the catchier the better. I'm hearing that sometimes I guess being simplistic is, and not being so cliche. I know there's again in my writing workshop with Darryl, I'd send him lyrics, and sometimes he would say, okay, that's nice, but it's too cliche. Think of something else. Like my song "Let Me Love You." Part of the lyric initially was like, let's see, when can I see you, baby? When can I love you, baby? When can I hold you tight? Love you all through the night. And he's like, well, that is very cliche. Think of something else. And I'm like, okay. So it wasn't up until probably I got near recording that song that I came up with a line that wasn't as cliche. And it was, and then the line was, let's get it right, which was different, not, I mean, because I'll listen to songs and have never even heard the song before, but I'd know what the next line is going to be, just because it's so cliche. And so when I'm writing, I try not to be so predictable.
Yeah.
So try to be creative and not predictable in your songwriting, and just be sincere. And I think people will appreciate that and see it.
Yeah. What are your passions outside of music? There's got to be some times where you want to take a vacation and get away from the writing. What are your passions?
My passions, I like hanging out with my family. Let's see what else. It's funny, but what do I like to do? I like to go. Well, I don't really like to go to the gym, but I go. I can't say that's a passion because my son is like, "Did you go to the gym?" I'm like, it's the funniest thing because I try for almost an hour or two to just leave to go to the gym, and yes. So when they say, "Did you go?" or "How was your workout?" I'm like, "I went." But honestly, I would say the music has just engulfed me. I mean, it's truly my passion. Also I do work a little bit sometimes. I still do my human resources work on an interim basis when I get called to come in and can you help? I'm like, sure, I'll come and help. it's they're paying me. So yes, I'll go. And then also I'm a professor as well at a local university teaching human resources course. So
Wow.
those are some of my passions as well, so I would say this is honestly a period in my life where I'm getting to use probably every single gift that God's given me. I'm able to sing, I'm able to write, I'm able to teach, I'm able to, be a professional and mentor people. And I even have a mentee with through the Recording Academy with Grammy U. And so, I'm just able to do everything. So, I can't say I have this like other passion because, music is it.
How does your faith and spirituality influence your music and your life? A lot of people, just like you have advice for those aspiring musicians. There comes a point where we all just want to be like, man, it ain't gonna happen. I'm good. I'm tapping out right here.
No, my faith is what keeps me going, honestly. Because I was kind of alluded to the fact that, I had a very, I would say a lucrative or very good career. I was a human resources director. And that last year of my directorship is when the music bit me, and I was writing and, recording and doing all this stuff. And after I finished that my first EP, dropped my daughter off in college. She had just, gotten I guess we can say a scholarship because she was a grad assistant. So she was in New York and we were dropping her off. I was like, man, my life is just the best it could ever be. I have this amazing job. I'm able to sing and record. I just had this huge party and came back and lost my job.
Man.
Kind of got canned, like got axed. And it happens, when you're, an executive, sometimes a new regime will come in and it took them a little bit to get rid of me, but they eventually did and hurt like crazy. And at times it still drives me a little nuts because I still feel it was so unfair. I didn't deserve that at all. And so I kind of lost my train of where I was going with that. But
you were just talking about faith and spirituality and
there you go. Okay. Yes. So that happened. And and so, Darryl was like, I told him I lost my job and he's like, this is and he's like, you lost your job and as a head of HR. I'm like, yes.
Yes.
And he's like, wow, this is the universe lining up for you. Because you'll never be able to have you'll always be able to get another HR job, but you'll never have another opportunity like this to pursue the music. And I'm like, okay. So it really was, a leap of faith to, not just instantly try to hop back in and get another job, but to just go on this faith walk of pursuing the music, because I feel like everything that's been happening, God has been orchestrating it. All of the, people that I've met along the way, it's almost like, okay, meeting this producer, then meeting this person telling me to do this, then meeting this person telling me to do that. And me doing it. It's just been a faith walk is what it truly has been. And, I think, God kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone to have me to show my faith. It's like you have to depend on me because I've been able to survive. This has been like a 5-6 year thing where I was like, stable Mabel. I worked for the government. So, that's probably as stable and safe as you can get. And to be, kind of like, okay, how is this going to happen next month? And every time, God comes through. So it's been, he hasn't let me down. So that's how I just know, like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be, and he's testing my faith. So I'm like, Lord, sometimes I'm like, Lord, and honestly, like this, this last gig I've gotten, as far as this HR gig, I just got a call from someone that I did some work with. and they didn't see my name on the RFP for this new position they were recruiting for. And they were like, maybe she can come and be our interim, until we hire this new person. And, it just showed I did a good job, in that recruitment. And they felt like, okay, well, she's a full HR director. So, that was just the recruitment. She can come in and do this. And I've been kind of filling those shoes for a bit. And God came through for me like, wow, I mean, it's a great job. And, the people there have been amazing, supporting, and I've sang the national anthem, a couple of times for them, when they opened a brand new bridge. I sang on top of the bridge.
Oh.
They opened it was pretty cool. Then they opened a brand new fire station, and I sang the national anthem there. And but just faith, just walking on faith. And it's a long drive, but I do it, and it was what I needed. And but he always comes through for me, and I just remain faithful and just know that he's gonna take care of me. And I just can't. I have to always just believe that. Yeah.
When you have someone listening to your music, would you say that you have a message that you always hope to convey to your listeners through your music? There's generally a meaning. Here's the example. My wife and I, we love to make fun of a song by Orange Juice Jones. I Saw You and Him Walking in the Rain. That's like the most horrible song ever. And it's tragic to us, but we find humor in it. We love that song.
I bet you like the end, right?
The humor of it. But it's so heartbreaking. It's a horrible, but that he chose to do that. Would you say that? No, I tried it. My stuff is uplifting, or no, hey, if this is a doom and gloom song, then it is what it is. That's what I was feeling. What are your messages like?
Like I said, love, there's love. And then, most of the songs are really about love. I did write a song, which was one of my very first songs before I had even ever even thought about any of this. It was a song I wrote to my friend who passed away. And I wrote the song, and it was just a song I would sing when I would think about her. Sometimes I laugh, sometimes I cry, and all the time wondering why'd you have to go and leave this life so soon, leaving me lonely. I don't know what to do. I wish that you were here to simply hold my hand. And that was the song that I would sing. And she passed, many years ago, and really interesting story about that particular song, which again it's probably one of the more emotional songs I wrote. And hopefully someone can relate to that, that someone leaving their life so soon, and you just really just want to hold their hand, but they can't, because they're not here. And that's pretty much what it is, you can feel someone's spirit around you, and so it's a weird thing. When I was deciding what songs to put on the EP, I thought about that one, and it was kind of like unfinished because my producer, I think at that point, was getting tired of me. We had kind of just did the piano work on it, and but I was like, should I put the song on there? And my birthday is September 7th, and hers is April 7th, and those numbers together mean something to me. 947 are the numbers, and so. I was, pondering, like, should I put that song on the record? And then I, just kind of looked over at the clock, and it was 9:47.
No.
Yeah. It was 9:47. And I just said, okay, girl.
Yep.
I'm going to put the song on there. And, and when I was recording the song, it was weird. I typically wouldn't get bleed from the other studio, but we were getting bleeding, like from the subwoofers from the other studio. So it made we had to stop, and come back. And so I chose to come back to record and finish the song, and it ended up being on her birthday. on April 7th
Wow.
when I finished the song. And it was just like, wow, you know, crazy. I finished the album and the song and everything. And it's just, it's a beautiful song. And I think about her when I do that. But she was my singing buddy too. You know, we would, you know, walk and sing and walk. And I think she would be thrilled, or probably think I'm crazy right now if she were still here. But as far as the message really and truly is love. And that really is it. I write love songs and you know, to the fact that I do lead praise and worship on Sundays. And I grew up in the church, and but I just tell people, you know, God has given me these songs. I mean, it's and has you know, created this amazing journey for me, and hopefully you don't have a problem with it, but this is what I'm doing. And I'm, you know, ever faithful, and I'm at church on Sundays and doing my service to the Lord on Sundays as well. So, but yeah, the faith it's everything. Yeah.
When we talked about coming on,
Mhm.
you were probably thinking, oh, I want to make sure I talk about, I've got an upcoming project or upcoming tour, or I want to make sure we talk about this. What were those things? And please mention them, because we may not have covered it.
Well, I think what initially, I think we had talked before I had my show. So the Christmas show happened, and, you know, I'm happy that I accomplished that goal, and everyone is like, oh, you have to do another one next year. So the Castella and Friends Christmas show next year, don't miss it.
Hey.
Yeah, so I'm already you know, planning ahead. Everyone had such a great time.
Yeah.
I do have my project, a couple of covers that I'm working on right now. And again, just next year, just hoping to, you know, hit the road, and you know, because I have fans in all over the place. And it's like, man, I just want to go and meet them. I went to Atlanta this summer, and it was just so like, wow. I mean, I made some new friends, some new fans, and just, you know, connecting with, you know, different musicians. I love my musicians here. I wish I could just put them on my back and let's go, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry. But my Atlanta musicians are amazing. We have such a good time. And you know, what was really cool, like I said, I'm not a cover band. So, but I always have to throw some in there. And, you know, when I'm like, okay, let's ixnay this original song of mine, they're like, no. We like your original music. And I'm like, okay, I love you guys. You know, you like my stuff, and they give my music 100%, which is, I love that. I love that. So I'm looking to just go and connect with the people that are connecting with me online, that are, you know, giving me all the likes and stuff. It's like, okay, now hope that like converts to a ticket. Come out and see and meet me in person, you know. So yeah, that's what's going on. I'm just hoping to you know, continue to make music this next year, and just keep on grinding. Yep.
Castella, I enjoyed this. The time flew.
I know.
What most importantly, you did great. I always try to be mindful of the guests, their time and their energy, but you didn't drop. It's sometimes, even on the radio show, Jabari will back me up on this. Sometimes we got to carry people. It's tough. I mean, you know, it's your time. You got to talk, right? Like, okay, I'll keep asking some stuff. I'll keep pulling from you, but we got to get through it. But no, this was great. I want to say thank you for your time.
Yes.
And I can't wait to put this episode out. And more importantly, thanks for talking with Donato.
Oh man, you know, I love to talk. My mother, because you know, my name is my government name is Kathy, and you know, they say that Kathys are chatty. So
yes, they do.
So you know, it's yeah. Talk about how I got my name, but we didn't get into that. But anyway, yeah. But I'm a chatty Kathy, and but as far as so Castella is a name I adopted when I was, you know, like I told you before, I was you know, an executive, and didn't know if I wanted to use my name. So I was like, should it be Kathy Thompson, which is my name, and then or Kathy, or just Kathy. And then I threw out Castella to my friend, and he's like, oh, yes, Castella. Yes, 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 yes. And so how I came up with that is it's my grandmother's nickname. And I'm named after that grandmother. Her name is Kathleen. Kathleen Rebecca. My name is Kathy Rebecca, and I was named after my two grandmothers, Kathleen and Rebecca. And I would go to Alabama every summer, and they would call her Miss Castella. And so when I was again looking for names, I'm like, oh, that might be good. But my oldest aunt, my Aunt Lily Mae, she always told me that you are just like Miss Castella. You are just like her, and so, my oldest aunt, who is still living, she's in her mid 90s, that I was like Miss Castella. And and so I don't know. It's every time I get up and sing, it's paying homage to my grandmother.
Yes,
Miss Castella. So that's where Castella came from, and having my grandmother's first and oldest daughter to say, yes, you are just like her. I think it's fitting. And
yes, it is.
When we get on the phone, she's like, I want to talk to that Castella girl, so they're loving it. I mean, it's the family is like, yeah, Miss Castella. Everyone, in Gordo, Alabama knows who Miss Castella is. So.
It sounds like it. Though that is the center of the fandom. yeah, absolutely. So, well, thanks again, and
thank you for having me. And sorry if I did talk too much. I am one that like just
not on a podcast, not possible.
No dead space.
No, we don't want it, and we also didn't have it. This was fun. So thanks again.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and good luck. Hopefully, maybe this will be that viral moment.
I hope so.
You gotta get you a shirt. What size do you wear?
I work out. I do like going to the gym. I'm a large.
Okay, no problem. We'll get one, even if it's a vintage one. Like, oh, did she wear this? Yes, she wore it. No.
Hey, throw a signature on it. Hey, NBA players take off their jersey all the time. Might sign it, throw it into the crowd anyway, and we love it to death.
Right. Hey, maybe I'll do that just so you can, Jabari. I just love him. I mean, he gave me the best introductions. When I came out to do that, it was great. It was a lot of fun.
I don't even doubt it. He what a professional. We it's a trio on our morning show. We have a comedian that's also on with us, and we sit in awe sometimes when we start talking music, the musical knowledge, the intelligence that this man has when it comes to music. It leaves us with our mouth open. And I think that's another reason why our show is so popular, why it does so well, why people enjoy us so much. That's just but one of the little items sprinkled in there. So Jabari is a jewel for us, indeed.
Wow.
But I would never say this to his face.
So you're in Texas?
Yes, ma'am. Right in Austin.
Oh, okay. I got to get back out there. I just had I would say that Texas is what really got me. Was my first trip, my first show. I was in Houston.
Okay. Yeah.
That was my first time. I met, Kyle. I met Kyle on the show, and he's been my friend ever since, and just really pumping me up. And it's just So Texas, I got to come out to Texas in 2025. I've even thinking about doing a Texas tour, doing Austin and Houston and Dallas, and coming home. Yeah.
And then maybe we can get you out on the San Antonio, get you out on that river. The river walk is quite the affair.
Oh, okay.
We get you on the river walk. There's some live music down there too.
Okay.
Whenever I can give San Antonio a little love too.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's like, that'll work for towns.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll again. Thanks a lot, and
thank you.
This was great.
All right. Talk to you soon, and good luck with everything.
Oh, thank you. You as well.
Right. Okay.